The tenure of Sir Edmund Andros as a governor in the New World, particularly his role as the governor of the Dominion of New England, is a significant chapter in the early history of America. His governorship is often remembered for its controversial policies and the resistance it sparked among colonists. Sir Edmund Andros was born in London in 1637 to an aristocratic family. He had a military background, having served in the English Civil War and in the Caribbean. His career in the colonies began when he was appointed as the governor of New York in 1674, where he gained a reputation for being a capable yet authoritarian administrator. Andros's experience and loyalty to the crown made him a suitable candidate for the challenging role of unifying and controlling the New England colonies. In 1686, King James II sought to consolidate his control over the American colonies by creating the Dominion of New England, a merger of several colonies into a single administrative unit. This included Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New York, and New Jersey. Andros was appointed as the governor of this new entity, tasked with implementing the Crown's policies and tightening royal control. Andros's administration was marked by efforts to centralize power and diminish the autonomy of individual colonies. He dissolved local assemblies, revoked charters, and restricted town meetings, which were pivotal to local governance. This centralization aimed to streamline administration and ensure that colonial policies aligned with the interests of the Crown. One of Andros's key responsibilities was to enforce the Navigation Acts, which were designed to ensure that trade benefited England. These acts restricted colonial trade to English ships and required that certain goods be shipped only to England or its colonies. Andros's strict enforcement of these regulations was met with considerable resistance from colonists, who had grown accustomed to a degree of economic freedom and often engaged in smuggling. Andros implemented new land policies that required colonists to obtain new land titles, often at a cost, and pay annual quitrents. This was seen as an attempt to undermine land ownership rights that had been established under previous colonial charters. Additionally, Andros imposed new taxes without the consent of the local assemblies, further fueling discontent among the colonists. One of the most famous acts of resistance to Andros's rule occurred in Connecticut. The Connecticut Charter of 1662 granted the colony a significant degree of self-governance and autonomy. When Andros sought to consolidate control, he demanded the surrender of this charter, which symbolized the colony's independence and rights. In October 1687, Andros arrived in Hartford with the intent of seizing the charter. During a meeting in the Old State House, the charter was placed on the table. According to legend, as the negotiations continued into the evening, the lights were suddenly extinguished. In the ensuing confusion, Captain Joseph Wadsworth seized the charter and fled. He hid the precious document in the hollow of a large oak tree, which later became known as the Charter Oak. The hiding of the charter in the Charter Oak became a powerful symbol of resistance to tyranny and the defense of self-governance. The Charter Oak itself became an emblem of American independence and the lengths to which colonists would go to protect their liberties. This event is celebrated in Connecticut history and remains a poignant reminder of the struggle for colonial rights. The policies of Andros were deeply unpopular among the colonists. The dissolution of local assemblies and the imposition of taxes without representation were seen as direct assaults on their rights and autonomy. The strict enforcement of the Navigation Acts hurt local economies, particularly in Massachusetts, where merchants and ship owners were heavily impacted. The discontent reached a boiling point with the Glorious Revolution in England in 1688, which saw the overthrow of King James II. Inspired by this event, the colonists in Boston staged a revolt in April 1689. They arrested Andros and his officials, effectively ending his governorship and the Dominion of New England. The colonies quickly reverted to their previous forms of self-governance. The resistance to Andros's rule set a significant precedent for colonial opposition to authoritarian governance. The Boston Revolt demonstrated that colonists were willing to take drastic actions to defend their rights and autonomy. This spirit of resistance would later manifest in the larger and more coordinated efforts during the American Revolution. Andros's tenure highlighted the importance of self-governance to the American colonists. The dissolution of local assemblies and the restriction of town meetings underscored the value that colonists placed on having a say in their government. This experience reinforced the idea that legitimate government required the consent of the governed, a principle that would become foundational to American political thought. The creation of the Dominion of New England, despite its unpopularity, was an early attempt at unifying the colonies under a single administration. While it failed in the short term, it planted the seeds for future efforts at colonial unity. The shared experience of resisting Andros's rule helped foster a sense of common purpose among the disparate colonies, which would be crucial during the struggle for independence. The governorship of Sir Edmund Andros in the New World was a pivotal episode in the early history of America. His efforts to centralize power and enforce royal policies met with strong resistance from colonists, who valued their autonomy and economic freedom. The reaction to Andros's rule set important precedents for colonial resistance and emphasized the importance of self-governance, principles that would profoundly influence the development of American political thought and the eventual fight for independence. The legacy of Andros's governorship is a testament to the enduring struggle for liberty and self-determination that has shaped the American identity.